This week on the show, multi-generational SNL stars team up, quotas for cartoons, and Goldie is pinned on Pinterest. Right here on Behind the Video, Episode 8.
This episode of Behind the Video is brought to you by the Independent Media Network. The Independent Media Network helps journalists and content creators create their own jobs by building sustainable online businesses. If you're an unemployed or underemployed journalist or content creator, visit imnct.com for more information. Hey everybody, we are back for another exciting edition of Behind the Video. This is episode number 8. Soon, Goldie, we won't be able to count episodes on our hands. That's a pretty exciting thing.
Then we'll have to use several hands to count all of our episodes.
That's it, exactly, as they keep going. So, and that voice you just heard was Goldie Chan from California. How are you doing today out there?
I'm doing good. It's pretty gray and dreary out here, so I'm hoping that my high 60s, low 70s weather comes back soon.
Well, it's like a blast furnace here in Connecticut. It's like 3,000 degrees, and it's I'm not leaving the house ever again. And we also have a new guest joining us, a new face on the show, and that is Brian Parker. Hey, Brian, from onthehorn.com.
Hey there, Lon. Thanks for having me on.
And Brian lives about 45 minutes away from me, but we never actually see each other except in Google Hangouts.
We don't.
So.
It's quite actually something.
So, Brian, you are starting an online radio network from scratch, and a lot of folks often transition from radio to the internet world, and now you're actually starting it basically without being on the radio at first. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing and the kinds of shows you're doing and what makes it different.
Well, that's a great question. We're doing onthehorn.com is the name of the website. Audio, video, content provider blog is the easy way to put us in a box. The big challenge, I think, to anyone is how exactly does an audience that doesn't exist yet, how do they want to consume your content? So that's really what we're struggling with and what everyone struggles with. Do you actually need a website? Do you just do a YouTube channel and become one of these, YouTube celebrities, or do you go over to, Mevio, or do you do one of the other, Ustream.com or something like that? We have a variety of shows. We're sort of like a closet of left shoes right now. We're not quite sure if we have a single message, but we have everything from a wine connoisseur to business consultants to political wonks to blues music, all sorts of other great stuff. Other shows coming up, sort of for the hyper-local market about clipping coupons. Really neat stuff that you don't necessarily, I think, need to visit our website. We can kind of push it out to you. But using the social media, that's the name of the game. Finding yourself, with 2,200 folks on Facebook and Twitter, pushing your videos out to them. That's the only way that people are really going to see you. They're not going to go to your website anymore, I think is really the message.
And what kind of challenges are you having with that? Because you are doing longer format content, so that's often challenging. How do you get people to watch what you're doing? Or is that the problem?
Well, there's a variety of techniques. One, like anything, you take a page out of each one of the general journalism schools. Whether it's newspaper, you got to get a great little write-up and a great title for whatever your blog post is and your show. The video has to be good quality. Audio has to be good quality, and you have to just have content that's good. You have to have folks that are going to be on that can talk and not be so scripted, which is sometimes hard to find, sometimes easy to find, and you never really know until someone gets on camera how they're going to do. But that's really the challenge is always going to be technology. How do I make myself a little bit better? Content, how do we make this a little bit better? Getting the folks on has actually been the easiest thing. Whether it's, we have the ambassador to Ireland, we have the governor of the state of Connecticut, we've had congressmen, U.S. senators on. It's, that part is easy, surprisingly. To me, these people are anxious to get out in the public eye. It's really all the sort of back-end stuff and the consistency of pushing content out there. I think that's the real message.
And that's the hard part. It's getting guests that are really good. So we got Goldie on the first episode, and we just we just don't let her leave.
And now I guess I'm a pseudo host, but I'm a permanent guest, so I'm that person that sleeps on your couch and never leaves.
Nice, nice.
But she's a great addition to the show because if it was just Tim and I doing the show, it would never work. So we need Goldie to lighten things up a little bit. So we're going to take a look at the box office as we always do, and we'll start at we'll do the top 5, and Snow White and the Huntsman. And we talked a little bit about this last week, Goldie. So you were saying don't watch it, right? So have you watched it, or you're still staying away?
No, I watched it. I think it's one of those movies where, go watch it if you think Charlize Theron is very hot. Outside of that, maybe I wouldn't recommend watching it. But you know what? There's another Snow White movie coming out called Maleficent, starring Angelina Jolie, and I have high hopes for that one. I'm hoping it will be good.
So is Snow White like the next vampire genre, that there's just going to be a million Snow White movies, and is that the next thing?
Attack of the Seven Dwarves.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. Brian is laughing right now, and I think it's funny. Yeah, no, because they came out with another one that I don't know how that one did, but it was really a kids movie, and it starred Julia Roberts. So a lot of big names getting behind Snow White.
Well, there you go. I guess it's kind of a fairy tale, right? So there's no rights that you have to purchase to Snow White. Is that right?
I think so, yeah. So, I mean, Disney is basically redoing a version of their version of Snow White and I guess doing a focus on the evil character. So
excellent. So
which always sells more, I think, yeah.
Yes, it always does. It always does. So the next film, number 4, and this is kind of funny. I liken this one to kind of like Captain Kirk meets the Next Generation on Star Trek, because Adam Sandler is doing a movie with Andy Samberg, right? So you've got like almost 2 generations here of SNL stars. Adam Sandler, of course, was pretty popular through the 90s and early part of the millennium, and Andy Samberg, of course, is like the digital genius with kind of invented the viral video, if you will. So they're starring together, where Adam Sandler plays his father, and it looks like a pretty funny little film. That was number 4 at $13.5 million. Brian Parker has a newborn. He can't do anything, but what do you think about this movie, Brian?
I tell you what, the Adam Sandler phenomena continues. I think he's relatively funny, but the amount of money that he can command for movies that don't really take a lot of talent is just mind-boggling to me. But I love that Adam Sandler is back in that just ridiculous role of being this sort of, this fumbling father figure. And there's that little reversal of roles where you have the son is really the father and the father is really the son. It's very Shakespearean in that motif. So that's great. But Sandberg is just what a terrific talent he is, and I think he's going to be something huge as he goes on in life. So it's going to do really well. It's going to make tens of millions of dollars. It's made 13.5 already, and I'm sure there's going to be a ton of, this is going to be one of those DVDs that every college kid is going to buy just because they have to buy it, even if it just sits on their shelf as eye candy.
It's the cult classic that you have to own.
I'm cool.
So, Brian, if we follow you on Twitter, I'm sure by next week we can get your review of what you think of the movie.
Sure, I'd be happy to do that. Yeah.
Good. We'll keep an eye on it. You should maybe start a movie show and On the Horn and do that. Number 3 is many people are calling a flop already, which is the new Tom Cruise film where he's actually playing a rock star. And I'll tell you what, as crazy as he is, he's actually pretty good in the film. I haven't seen it, but I've seen some of the trailers and whatnot. It's pretty convincing. Goldie, what do you think of this film?
Yeah, Rock of the Ages. I mean, I love theater, so I always keep an eye out on things that are transitioning from theater to the film world. Mm-hmm. And this one makes me, for some reason, it just makes me nervous. I guess because I see all the giant billboards across LA, and I'm like, do I want to go see this? Or do I want to see it as a theater show instead?
I see, right.
It makes me nervous.
Yeah, I actually kind of want to see it. As crazy as he is, I do kind of like the films he's been in, and I think I'll probably check that one out again on video because I never leave my house. Prometheus is number 2. I think we've talked this one to death. I'll be interested to see if Tim actually has seen it by the next time we see him, although the reviews have been disappointing. And Madagascar 3 leads the box office at $119 million. I think with kids' movies, timing is everything, right? So get the film out right at the end of the school year where parents, the onus of looking after these kids shifts from the school to the parents now, so they want to get their kids well entertained. And I think it looks like there's probably been a lot of repeat visitors because Madagascar raked in another $34 million to so far $119 million in ticket sales on that movie.
That's interesting.
Funny. $100 million bucks used to be a lot, right? Now it's like if you don't hit that, forget it.
It's funny that you mentioned the timing thing. I'm just thinking about that. So yeah, this is the time where you want to get that movie in because in another 3 weeks, kids are off to camp,
right,
for the summer. So that's an interesting point.
That is, it's intriguing. 2 kid films in the news. Pixar has its first female-driven film, and I guess this is out now, right? Brave. Have either of you seen it?
Yes.
And what did you think?
Brian, I haven't seen it yet. I am waiting to go see it with a bunch of my nerd friends. I will probably actually frizz out my hair just to go watch it because I'm that nerdy. I'm so excited, and I've been harassing my friend who works at Pixar for details, but he's not giving me any.
Oh, so this is good. So you'll have to go see it and let us know what you think. And actually, what I was eager to ask you this because our producer Jason Perrier found this review on the Washington Post's website saying that the movie was playing things a bit too safe as far as the lead female character, and also bringing in a criticism of animation as a whole, saying that female characters never are strong enough. Did you read the article or the review, Colby? What did you think?
Brian just sighed, so maybe I'll let Brian take this one first, and then I'll put in my 2 cents.
We should just rename that AP story "Quotas for Cartoons." That's where we're going now. I mean, the movie should be the story, not this is Pixar's long overdue feature with a strong female character at its center. But it's a cartoon movie for kids. Relax a little bit. I'm tired of this kind of stuff. It's a cartoon movie. It's supposed to be light. It's supposed to be fun. That's it. Pixar has done a great job. I think they've kept a lot of their spark ever since Disney bought them. Let's go see Brave for what it is. It's a fun little uplifting movie that you're going to feel better at after you leave the theater. You don't have to worry about the deeper message, the societal message inside Brave. I think that's nonsense.
Goldie, what do you think? Over the top on this review?
I took a look at the review, and I have to say I haven't seen it yet, so I can't really make that judgment either way based off of just the review. But I just think that Disney approaches female characters in a slightly different way than I think Pixar maybe wants to approach female characters. And Pixar has a lot of characters that are neither female nor male. But it's about the whimsy and it's about the journey and, things that are relatable that are not male or female necessarily like qualities. But, I think that this one seems to skew a little bit more towards the Disney side and a little more towards purchasing goods. So if you have a little girl, you probably already went out and bought the Brave dolls, and you bought the Brave dress set, and you bought the Brave, horse that goes with the doll set.
Yep.
So I just think that this one, kind of like the Cars franchise, is a lot about merchandising. So, and I think Brian's totally right. You just can't. I'm not going to judge it until I see it. And that's my 2 cents.
One of my favorite lines from the movie Spaceballs was when the guy, the Schwartz guy, the Yoda guy.
I know what you're thinking of.
Merchandising.
He pulls out the yogurt flamethrower.
Yeah, yogurt, right.
Yeah. Merchandising.
If you've never seen Spaceballs, you have to see Spaceballs. It is one of the I think one of the funniest movies ever made, and it makes fun of not only Star Wars but the entire merchandising culture around movies, sequels, and everything else. And speaking of kids films, movies, and merchandising, Sesame Street, which is still going strong after all of these years, is coming out with a movie called Sesame Street. oddly enough. And it looks like there's going to be a studio picking up some movie rights here. I think 20th Century Fox just picked up the rights, according to Hollywood Reporter. They tapped longtime Sesame Street writer Joey Mazzarino to pen the script, and producers are Sean Levy and his 21 Laps banner, Michael Aguilar, Mark Gordon, and Film 360's Guymon Cassidy. So the question is, will it be educational or entertaining, or maybe a little bit of both? I don't know. Is Count Dracula going to count on the... I don't know. We'll see how that
algebra.
Goes. So, well, it'll be a nice revival for Sesame Street, and the Muppets movie worked great. I really enjoyed it. So we'll see how that one goes. And I think there's this bit of nostalgia going on. Last week we talked about Mr. Rogers rapping with the auto-tune song. Folks like all of us on the call here, we're all, starting to move into adulthood, but we have really fond memories of all the things we watched and played with as children. Well, sort of, whatever your definition of it is. But it's true, right? Like, you kind of go look back at the stuff you watched as a kid sometimes, right? Don't you watch some older stuff?
Well, you know what? I have actually a piece of content that isn't on our list to discuss, which is, I don't know if you guys heard, but LeVar Burton took the rights of Reading Rainbow, licensed it, and is now developing it as an iPad app. So
Great idea.
I'm very excited for this. I am so excited for some good, solid, I work with kids content creators sometimes, and so I'm very excited for this new wave of children's content, and it just sounds so exciting that he's really helming it with a seasoned professional, and that they're doing it just so kids really read more and get them more engaged, and they're actually sitting down with an iPad, which they already have, but instead of playing games, they're reading.
Which is awesome, and that's a great use of the tablet. It was, and it's something that you really couldn't have done until there was a tablet, because it was. When I grew up, I had an Apple II. Very hard to read on a little 80-column screen. So it's exciting to see Reading Rainbow return, and it had a very memorable theme song as well. So a lot of neat stuff, and I think in some ways a way for parents to share with their children a new way to consume the content that they once did. And there's quite a bit of it out there. So. We'll see where that goes. Now, on YouTube, there's actually a Reading Rainbow episode where LeVar Burton takes people behind the scenes of Star Trek, which is pretty fun to watch. So definitely worth checking out. So let's talk about some TV. The NBA Finals dominated the top 3 positions on ABC, so they were probably raking in some bucks there. Number 10 on the list, though, is The Bachelorette, also on ABC. Do you watch The Bachelorette, Goldie? I don't.
Absolutely not. I think I was forced to watch an episode of it in college, and I wanted to die. But that's just my personal preference with The Bachelorette.
Brian, what's your thought on The Bachelorette and The Bachelor? I can't. It's just horrible junk. But what do you think?
Yeah, no, it is required watching, I think, for every young man on how to act, how to woo a mate. I think that's exactly what everyone should do. It should be. You know what? We should do a college class on just this. I mean, there's a lot of good messages in there. How to make out with 2 or 3 different women all on the same day. This is important stuff.
It's important things that you need to know.
Yeah. Brian, let me recommend then a book for you. It's called The Game.
Perfect.
Add it to your ebook. Add it to your ebook list, and take it from there. 60 Minutes at number 9, a repeat. 60 Minutes does well in repeats. It's pretty intriguing to see what kind of results they get there. The Big Bang Theory also in repeats. NCIS in repeats. CBS could not do anything new and still make money, because those 3 shows were all CBS shows. Golf, number 6 on NBC. Mega Stunts on ABC, and I think that was the guy that was running across the Niagara Falls on a tightrope. Did you see that?
Okay. Yes. Oh, I saw that. I saw the replays of it. Yeah, I didn't know what Mega Stunts was when I saw it on the list early this morning, but that is quite tremendous. They have just allowed people to start doing these daredevil things again over at Niagara Falls, and now already there's going to be folks trying to go over over the falls in a barrel and all that kind of stuff. So,
you have to. That's almost, it's almost cliche that you have to go off the side of the thing in a barrel.
I wonder, do the producers root for someone to die in that? Like, oh, please die. This would be great for ratings.
I hope not. And I'll tell you what. I didn't even know this was on. This is how powerful Twitter can be. And ABC really focused on Twitter on this thing. They had their hashtag up and people were talking about it. I had gotten home Saturday night, and I was looking for something. I was just having my snack or doing something. I don't even know what I was doing, and I just pop up my phone, and everybody's talking about this guy who's going to go on a tightrope across the Niagara Falls, and I said, "Oh, that's pretty cool." I actually turned the television on for the first time in a week, and watched this live, and I was comforted by the fact that he did have a safety harness on there. So if he did fall off, he would just kind of hang from the tightrope until they, I think, brought a helicopter or retrieved him somehow. But I don't know. Goldie, what stunt would you do if you had the opportunity?
Wow, that's a difficult question. I don't know. You know, there's always jumping off a cliff.
Yeah,
that always looked really good in the clips from Twilight that I've seen.
Thelma and Louise.
Yeah, there's a million things you can do. So, but it was neat to watch, and he got across there uneventfully, and shows you what determination and practice will do for you. And don't try it at home.
And a very big stunt that I know, conservative Lon Sideman would do is running with scissors. I know that you're really hoping to get a lot of viewers for that big.
Yes,
stunt.
I may try.
You're going to be doing right here on Behind the Video.
Doing that, I started doing chewing gum and walking. That's the first step. So
you got to start somewhere. I like it. The crawl, walk, run philosophy.
Yep. You got to really, you got to if you're going to do it, you got to focus. It's really important. So let's talk about some cable shows here. Falling Skies. Goldie, you're a sci-fi fan. Have you watched Falling Skies on TNT?
You know what? I am, but I've still not caught Falling Skies, and I think I will try to. It looks interesting. I just haven't caught it as I've been actually going back to doing things like reading books. So.
Oh. You're not rotting your brain on television? What's wrong with you?
I know. But yeah, but you know what is really interesting to me is number 2, which is Let It Shine.
Yes.
And I think it's a dance movie that showed on Disney Channel, and it's so interesting that Disney Channel can now do these kind of standalone movies, like that whole franchise of High School Musical, where they just launch these crazy movies that exist only on the Disney Channel and then get intense viewership. So I find that very interesting.
Yeah, I guess this movie's about a young rapper and an R&B singer who get together and create great music. I don't usually watch anything on Disney, but it looks like it's becoming. I think if my research here is correct, that it was really kind of dominated cable ratings, at least for that demographic, for the kids demographic. And the #1 movie of the year on cable across kids 2 to 11, 6 to 11, and tweens. So they're targeting themselves right where they want to be. I think Nickelodeon really just gave up its control of the youth television market probably a decade or two ago, when Disney really started packaging up these franchises. And what they've been doing so elegantly, I think, is not only is it the TV show and the movie, but if you look at something like the Hannah Montana thing, they actually develop a whole music business around the characters or the actors playing them as well, and they just keep cashing it in. It's remarkable.
Well, they definitely find actors, I think. They source actors from everywhere, but they find actors who are unknown, and then they build a brand. So they create a Disney actor. And so that actor is basically owned by the Disney studios and is kind of, lives that persona of what a Disney actor should be. Case in point, Justin Bieber's current girlfriend, Selena Gomez, is one of those.
So how do you get discovered by Disney? Where do they find these kids? Are they auditioning? Is there an agent involved? How do they go about finding talent?
I think that they're definitely auditioning, and then agents are also scouting for talent. I know that they actually found one of their main girls in Sacramento, which is an odd place to find an actor. So I know that they're scouting in a lot of places. I don't know if they're necessarily scouting outside California, but they're always looking for new, young actors who they could build into the next big thing, and they become little, I like to call them mini celebrities for kids.
Interesting. That's cool. So if you have Brian, who has a newborn, you can start getting your baby ready for Disney auditions shortly.
Yeah, she already has a stage name, which is great. So
perfect. You're ready to go. You are ready to go. Briefly, we talked about this last week. Apparently on Game of Thrones, they had a decapitation scene, and some prankster on the set decided to use a model of George W. Bush, which they didn't think people would recognize, but apparently a lot of people did. Created an uproar of controversy, and this week HBO has announced they've not only pulled the episode, and what's interesting in this day and age, pulling means probably taking off all their social channels, because it used to be you'd air it and that would be it. But now they're pulling the episode, and they're going to edit the head from future airings. So I guess when it re-airs, it won't have that particular head being decapitated. So clearly a big slip-up on the set there, and probably somebody was not thinking too properly in that regard.
Goldie, the important thing is, did that guy get fired? That's what I want to know. Did the guy get fired?
I don't know. We'll have to talk to our industry friends and find out what.
That goes very close to a federal crime.
It could be, or at least the Secret Service might come and visit him.
Yeah.
So we'll see where that goes. One other item just on TV before we move on to some of our streaming stuff. There's a website that was mentioned in Lost Remote, and it's kind of interesting. It's called Tomorrow-ish, and what it's designed to do is, if you're a TV fan and you can't watch your favorite show, and you don't want to get all the spoilers from people tweeting about something happening on television. I think back to like one of the last seasons of Dexter, where some really crazy thing happens that's totally unpredictable, and you don't really want to know that. In fact, when I'm trying to catch up on a show, I actually turn Twitter off because I don't want to know what happens. So what Tomorrow-ish does is that it actually syncs people's social media posts to Hulu streams and other providers also, so that you can watch comments from viewers fly in while you're watching the replay. So it's kind of like reruns for tweets, and as a way to have that experience of being involved with the community watching a show, but not actually getting spoilers along the way. It lacks the interaction, but I just thought it was kind of interesting. So have you ever been had a spoiler hit you, Goldie, on Twitter?
Yeah, I've been watching Game of Thrones a little bit delayed, and so I hear things that I don't want to hear because I just want to watch Game of Thrones, as it is so wonderful and amazing. I don't know, Brian, how about you? Have you heard any spoilers?
No. It fascinates me that Tomorrow-ish, that someone might think that there would be a need for that. If we're watching a video after it's already aired on a DVR or something like that, why not just turn off Twitter? Apparently there must be enough of us that are so lazy or so connected to Twitter that we can't do it, that we need the service of Tomorrow-ish. Don't ruin my DVR watching. So I'm more fascinated by that than the actual technology. It almost reminds me of the how MTV used to have that show where it would show the videos and then little bubbles would pop up? It's kind of like Twitter is doing that now. What's that?
It was on VH1, right? Yeah, they would.
Oh, it was on VH1?
Yep, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's sort of like what it is. Just now, all of that is being funneled through, through a big social graph of all your friends, which I think is cool.
It's very cool. So let's take a look at YouTube. So number 5 on the YouTube top 5 this week, Ray William Johnson is this guy impresses me, and I don't think we've really talked about him in depth, because this guy, he puts up a video and 1 million or 3 million people watch it. And he's on the leaderboard every week. This week he's got 2 ice cream trucks who have a turf battle, and one guy breaks the other ice cream truck's window, and then he smacks his truck into the other guy's truck. And he has quite a neat little thing that he does. And what's neat about it, he's not just aggregating content. He's actually doing some humor, some funny vignettes, sort of kind of embedded into it. So Goldie, what's his secret? How do you get to his level of play here?
Well, I think that you just tapped upon it, which is, number 1, he has good content, and then number 2, he actually has a great wrapper around that content, so he's engaging, and you want to watch him deliver the news that somebody else who maybe isn't quite so charming wouldn't be quite so interesting to watch.
So Brian, you're pretty charming.
Well, thank you, darling.
So just keep up that charm, and you'll be on your way to millions of riches before you know it. So
yeah.
Brian, you work in the financial industry in your day job, and Microsoft announced their Surface, which is a new tablet, and a lot of curiosity around it. 4.3 million views so far this week for their video showing it doing Surface-y things. So Are you excited about the Surface tablet?
I'm excited to get to know more about it. They had this big launch, I don't know when it was, Tuesday or Monday or something like that. I think it was down in L.A., which was odd because they're up in Redmond. So they had everyone down there, and it's just been with WWDC and all sorts of other tech conventions going on there. They kind of sandwiched that in right in the middle of all these different things. The Surface seems like they are taking what Apple has done and turning it into a PC. There's a great quote by Steve Ballmer that says, if you work hard enough, you can turn anything into a PC.
Well,
but I like that. They have the keyboard that sort of attaches out here, so you can use it almost like a keyboard, and it almost really is more of a computer than a tablet, which I think is a pretty smart way of doing it. Some obvious design things where it has its own little kickstand, so you don't have to buy a case to actually hold the thing up at a certain level. But I am excited about it. One thing I didn't like was when you have an iPad, you can do it in landscape or you can do it in portrait mode. This one seems to only be in this landscape mode because that's the way it's supposed to sit with the keyboard and everything.
Right.
So you're never really going to do, which is how I do the Twitter feeds, because you want something long here. So I don't know. I'm excited about it. I think they did it with a tremendous amount of secrecy, which is not the way Microsoft has done it. And I think maybe the bigger issue is Microsoft is looking at Apple and saying, maybe Apple was right. Maybe we ought to take a look at some of this stuff. Maybe we ought to take a look at, controlling the entire environment, creating this thing all on our own, not going out to one of our hardware distributors or software developer partners and coming up with this box of whatever. They did everything in-house, and they kept it very quiet. The video itself, I thought, was a little bizarre. It almost seemed like there was a lot of plants in there. What was it? Oh, someone was complaining that when she uses her iPad, it gets really hot.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I use my iPad constantly. I got the new iPad.
It's really
it doesn't.
So another bizarre thing that popped up this week, and this is actually an unusual thing because this viral video had a sequel that did just as well as the original, and it's unusual to kind of hit the lotto twice on this thing, right? So this is this young lady's doing it's called CRJ fan video, and she is doing like these creepy I guess I don't know how to even put it, like karaoke style songs that are popular and doing it is in the role of a really crazy ex-girlfriend. Have you seen this stuff, Goldie?
I've seen little bits of it, and I want to say yes. Like, this is what I think of when I think of nutty content that is totally original, easy to shoot, but she has a clear voice. You clearly understand what she's trying to say, and I dig it. I dig her nutsiness.
She does. It's incredible how creepy it is, but it's just she's between the two videos. This is over the course of a week or two. She's had about 10.5 million plays. So she's probably paid tuition for next year if she's in college still. So pretty good way to hit the lottery on YouTube. And again, very cheap to do, right, Goldie? It looks like just a webcam and I think she was just playing it on her iPod or something, like off its internal speaker. So even the background track wasn't that crazy. How does copyright work in these cases? What happens?
First of all, if you are doing a rendition of it on YouTube, they sometimes will let it slide, which is why you see all these fan videos of people singing along to songs, which is why when Carly Jensen's song hit, which is Call Me Maybe, I hang out a lot with people who work in the teen market, so forgive me if a lot of the content I talk about is in the teen market.
That's fine.
But it's a huge video, and there are even now business cards that people give out that have the lyrics to the song, which is, I just met you, and this is crazy, but here's my number, and call me maybe. So people actually physically hand out these business cards that are just lyrics from this one song that went viral on YouTube.
That's interesting. So, do you think? I wonder if this, if the woman making these videos is in the industry somewhere. A lot of times people are, right? I mean, it's not always an accident that something like that climbs to the top so quickly, right?
And sometimes people are just nuts, and they come up with really great, simple,
Right.
nuts ideas, and that's when I think it's that's when I love them, because it's clearly that they're not even content creators. They just happen to do something fun, and people are attracted to that.
And I'll tell you what, a lot of people are watching video because ComScore just released its rankings of online video consumption for May of 2012. And get this, 22 hours monthly for web video viewers. That's the average. So those of us on here, we're probably above average. That's amazing. Leading the charge, of course, is Google and YouTube, a force to be reckoned with. And if you're not putting your stuff on YouTube, you're missing views, right? There's no two ways about it. Yahoo, a close second, followed by Vivo. Vivo is saying even though their traffic looks like it's down, they're blaming mobile, and that is harder to measure. So they're on there. Microsoft, Facebook is on the list, about halfway down. You're shaking your head, Goldie.
I mean, I think that for Vivo, if people watch Vivo, they watch it on YouTube. So I think that they're in some ways cannibalizing their own views. I mean, a lot of musicians now have their music via Vivo, because Vivo wants to kind of snatch them up and be recognized as that music platform. But I mean, like I said, they're cannibalizing their own views if they're also on YouTube itself, because I would rather watch a Vivo video on YouTube than watch a Vivo video on Vivo.
Right, and that's true. Every Vivo video I see is on YouTube. Strangely enough, the top video this week was Katy Perry's video, which is a Vivo video on YouTube. But it was just amazing to me. The number of minutes per viewer average on YouTube is 462.7.
Wow.
Second place is Yahoo at 77.7.
And you know what? I can actually explain that Katy Perry, why it's #1 as well, which is she's coming out with a new movie about her career and her life, and so it's kind of tied to this single, and everybody has kind of eyes on her because they want to watch this movie about her life.
Right, and the fact her marriage fell apart and everything else, right? So
yes.
It's interesting. So Brian, do you spend 22 hours a day watching YouTube with a newborn at home?
A day? Not a day.
No.
But a month, for sure. In fact, the first time I saw that, I was actually surprised, but that was low on average. And I think that's only going to get much bigger once, broadcast television and cable kind of get out of their own way, even the movie industry get out of their own way and realize that they're kind of missing this big boat here. Instead of, we had a story somewhere, cable TV, internet bills might be rising soon because they're all upset with Netflix. Cable TV, broadcast TV, they shouldn't be upset with online video content providers doing well. They should be getting in that game even more.
And I think the problem is the real structure issue that they're built on these affiliate agreements with the local broadcasters, and it takes views away from the locals. And I think that's been part of what's been driving the issue. So we'll have to see where that goes. But I don't know about you, Brian, but my cable internet bill hasn't gone up since I first subscribed to the cable internet 10 years ago, and I'm probably about 100 times faster. So if it does go up, I could see it happening like that. Right?
It's about the same here. In fact, in this office, we're thinking of going to a fiber optic line, so that will be a substantial increase in price. I think that's about $1,000 a month.
Wow.
So
you'll be less jaggedy when you do it.
I'll be much less jaggedy. And there's the downside. You might actually be able to see me clearly, and then viewers would just run away. So grass is always greener.
You got to take the good with the bad. And speaking of running away, we are just about out of time for this week, so we certainly had quite a bit to talk about in the world of video and online media. Goldie, where can people find you on the internets?
People can always find me at Goldie Chan, GoldieChan, on Twitter, and my new obsession, Pinterest, at Goldie Pins. So come see the nerdy things that I have pinned on Pinterest.
So, I got it. We got to explore this a little bit more. So what took you so long to get on Pinterest? When did this start?
I thought of Pinterest a lot like I thought about watching Battlestar Galactica for the first time. I had a resistance because they said it was just like crack, that once you get on, you can't stop. And so I've discovered it's just like crack. Once you get on, you can't stop. And I love it because it's collaborative. So I can start a board. I started a board on beautiful women, and I'm collaborating with one of my friends, and we just post pictures of beautiful women, and it's kind of wonderful.
That's really cool. My biggest complaint with Pinterest is this, because I was doing something far less interesting. I was putting together a list of all the things that I use to organize myself because I thought it would be helpful to other people, and I wanted to take people through like a step-by-step process, and I can't reorganize the pins. And I'm going out of my mind. I'm like, I can't reorganize the pins, so I'm taking things down, I'm putting them back up, and next thing you know, I'm like, this is not fun, and I just stopped using it just because I couldn't organize the pins. So
that's ironic that you were doing a list on organizing, but you were frustrated that you couldn't organize the pins.
It's a problem. It's a problem. So, hey, Brian, where can people find your Pinterest page? And I think Brian puts on his Pinterest pictures of microphones. I've never seen him use the same microphone twice.
You know, when you have about 50 different microphones, you know, you might as well show them off. You know, the easiest way to get us is either on Twitter at onthehorn500, onthehorn500, or you can just visit us online at onthehorn.com.
Excellent. Well, we will look for you there. I am at Lon Seidman, LonSeidman, on Twitter, and you can also find me on Google+. And if you follow us here, you can watch us record the show completely live. And I'm going to go now and check out Goldie's Beautiful Women on Pinterest. And we'll be back again next week for this Behind the Video, and this episode is a wrap. Stories for this episode were compiled by producer Jason Perrier. Follow him on Twitter at JASONPERRIER. Behind the Video is a production of Ape Digital Incorporated and the Independent Media Network, LLC. All rights reserved.